What is going on, guys? So today we're going to be taking another journey into the samples that I end up getting from Xarmony Perfumes. Going to open this up and we're going to pick a random fragrance. So the fragrance we end up picking, this one is Khione. So we got some space on this hand here. We're going to go ahead and try this out. And we're going to attempt to identify some of the notes that we catch in this fragrance. One thing about Xarmony Perfume is that they utilize a lot of different peculiar notes, different peculiar note layouts. So I'm interested in seeing how this one pans out. One more refresher. So with this one, I'm catching the mint, but I'm also catching something that comes off like leather again. That's something like a fabric or like that resinous, waxy sort of leathery note. There's something that's coming off like that in this fragrance. The mint or the mint, the mint sort of note in here is coming off powerful, but it's not masking everything. It's kind of sort of dancing around a little bit. I just caught something like warm and cozy and slightly sweet. I'm trying to identify it over the mint, but that was something warm, possibly woody, cozy and sweet that just came up that I really enjoyed. I want to say I'm catching some musk. There's something in here that comes off almost like a skin scent, like a skin musk. Really intimate, very soft, very elegant. There's something musky, lightly savory that's kind of hanging around. That mint it does get in the way of me being able to catch what I'm catching. I want to say that I'm catching something that's coming off like a vanilla, something sweet, creamy. I want to say like I'm getting like a musky vanilla, maybe a lavender. Not sure if there's a caramel that I'm catching. There's something, like I said, savory, sweet, creamy. So I want to say it's possibly a vanilla, but I'm going to take a gamble and say that there's some caramel in there too. There's something I catch that comes off like a coconut, like a creamy, milky coconut. Yeah, it took a while for that mint to kind of calm down. It was just really obnoxious at first. I'm also getting something in here that is woody. I want to say I'm catching some sort of a liquor as well. I can't place which one I'm catching. It could be a rum or a cognac. It could be a rum, cognac, or a gin, but I want to say I'm catching one of those. Yeah, I'm gonna go with cognac. I'm getting like that slight cough syrup sort of a vibe from it. I'm gonna go with cognac. It could be a cognac or it could possibly be a bourbon, but sometimes it gives off like that slight cough syrup vibe. There's something woody in here as well, but I can't place exactly what type of wood it is. I'm having to use my coffee beans because that mint, it can overpower you, and it can give you some fatigue your olfactory senses a little bit. And so I get this to kind of reset myself a little bit. I'm catching now is like this really faint and sort of, I don't want to say resinous because it's not as sharp as a resin, but it's something that is sort of creamy, has almost like this really faint resinous vibe. That's the only word that I can think of to describe what I'm catching. There's something in here that comes off like a really soft, muted mango. Like you get a fruit, you get the sweetness, but it's really muted. But you catch a little bit of that creaminess lingering at the end. I'm gonna take a gamble and say that I'm catching a little bit of iris. I want to say that I'm catching like a leaf. I don't know if it's like a spice or a tobacco leaf, but I want to say I'm catching like a really faint leaf. So that's what I'm gonna go with. Right now I can't catch a whole lot. It's really subtle the way it comes down and sort of settles down. I'm getting something that comes off like a sweet cream. I don't know if it's like a honey cream, if it's like a mango, but it's muted. It's really subtle, it's really faint. I'm getting something that came off like a leather, but it was really faint. Don't know if that was like a leather labdanum hint that I was catching, but I feel like I was catching coconut, a vanilla, possibly a caramel, of course some mint, or I don't know if it was mint or peppermint in the beginning. There was a decent amount of sweetness that came with it. So I'd say possibly a peppermint. Said that sweet peppermint, coconut, caramel, vanilla, some musk, possibly a leather, possibly a wood. I couldn't place exactly what wood. So maybe an Atlas cedar or maybe just a sandalwood, because it's not, nothing's rough about it. Everything is super, super quiet. It's a very quiet scent besides the obvious mint, but everything else is extremely quiet. I get, like I said, I get something that comes off like a muted buttery caramel, coconut, vanilla. I get like a liquor, possibly like a cognac or a bourbon, something that comes off like a leaf. Can't quite place what. And honestly, that's all I can pick up. That's all I got. So let's take a look and see just how far off we were on those guesses, on that depiction, see what we actually got. So the notes for this fragrance is vanilla ice cream. So we were in that ballpark with that vanilla and something creamy, like a really soft sweetness. So we were in that ballpark when it came to that. We did guess sandalwood, so we were right with that one. I wasn't catching any tonka bean. I didn't catch any. I was catching something that came off like a liquor, but I didn't catch any tonka bean. I wasn't really catching much amber, or at least to my nose I wasn't. Glacier and snow, I can't quite catch that depiction. The mint was so strong that one of those two depictions probably just got lost in translations, or at least for me, especially not really having much exposure to those two accords individually. The mint, we got that of course, and ice. I get that cream. It was that muted sweetness. That vanilla ice cream comes off really muted, really quiet. It was so quiet. The wood that I was catching was really quiet. I was thinking there was a wood there, and I'm like, no, it's not doing enough. It's not acting out enough. The character of it isn't showing enough. So I assumed that it was possibly a sandalwood. But besides that, the vanilla ice cream, the sandalwood, and the mint, that's all we really guessed. Everything else we were pretty much off on. I was catching something that was slightly resinous that could have came from the amber, but those were pretty good guesses. I'm proud of those guesses. I didn't catch everything in this one, but I'm proud of that I was able to catch what I did. Khione, labeled as the goddess of snow. The depiction lands perfectly. You're gonna get this sharp, almost blade, this sweet blade like vibe from that mint that's gonna come in. It's gonna come in cold, crisp, sharp. So I can understand the ice and that mint coming in with that. It's gonna have a nice amount of sweetness. It's gonna be a little obnoxious, but it allows some of those other elements to peek through. That vanilla ice cream, that creamy muted sweetness was still peeking through, even with all of that mint giving off those transactions. It was still peeking through, and I was still able to pick up on it and detect it. And I kept thinking like, man, this is caramel, is it honey? Is it vanilla? Is something creamy sweet? I thought maybe a muted mango that I was catching some lingering sugary sort of a vibe coming from. With vanilla ice cream, you're gonna get sometimes like a condensed milk to create that sort of a vibe. Sometimes almost having to caramel that condensed milk. And that's probably why I was catching like that buttery sort of a tone from. I really enjoyed this one, but I definitely enjoyed this one more so in the dry down. The mint in this one really shines through, and I love how it comes off and it represents and touch bases with that glacier and that ice and that snow. But like I said, mint can come in and just do what mint does, and a lot of the other notes that are around it don't really get the proper justice sometimes. With this one, I love the fact that it sort of quiets down and allows the other notes to really shine through while still keeping its presence. You still get that breeze that you would get over snow, that breeze that you would get around a glacier. Like, you still catch that, and it mingles in with some of those other elements. The fragrance doesn't warm up or get a little too deep. It just has like this really light, slightly syrupy, but it's not a syrup. It's like a syrup, but just with like a tenth of the sweetness. It's nowhere near as sweet as it could be. The sweetness is there and detectable, and it's still syrupy. It still has that sort of that gelatinous syrupy vibe to it, but it's just this. It's like a very faint hint of sweetness to it. Beautiful depiction on this fragrance. Well done. I will drop the link in the description where you guys can check out this particular fragrance for yourself. See if it catches your attention. Check out some of his other listings. I definitely recommend getting a sampler set. Get you a sampler set. He's gonna load it up with some dope samples. Send it to you. You can go through these and spend time with these. See what may catch your attention. See what you may want to grab a full bottle of. Sample it. See what you fall in love with, and then get you a full bottle of that fragrance. I ended up taking a risk when I picked up La Bousse, and it worked out. It was a risk that I actually enjoy. You know what I mean? This is a fragrance that I love to put on, especially in the spring, especially in the summer. This is a fragrance that I love to put on, but it can work well in the fall and the winter with the leather and the clove notes that's in it. But I would not recommend blind buying fragrances from this house. Check them out first. See if it'll be something that you can enjoy, that you can engage in. Read the story and try to get an understanding of these stories, these backstories, and it just gives you a bit more of the lore, and just gives you a little bit of a closer understanding of what the depiction is going for. And that is it for this video, you guys. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you guys soon. Peace.